everyone. Saturday night, we made it through another Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, FCPX Creative Summit here in Cupertino, California. So, we had our normal sessions today. We had sessions from all day pretty much. We also had a visit from the Final Cut Pro Apps team, a private session like we did last year. Let me just turn this up a little bit. Just a tad. Oh, that's interesting. Must be going bad. But anyway, we had a session from the Final Cut Pro Apps team today. And of course, one of the things about the Pro Apps team, when they come over for a private session here at the Juniper Hotel, they come over to see us and we talk about things. And they can be more open with us if they know that we're not going to say anything about what was said in the meeting. And that works out really well. The last year it worked out, so they came back again this year. And we'll talk generically about that in a minute or two. So first we'll play a couple clips. Let me see what we're going to do first. So first we're going to play a clip session from LumaFusion. They've been on Final Cut Pro Radio multiple times.
You can now edit anywhere. And you can even edit on the plane during takeoff and landing.
Being able to edit early is another benefit of mobile editing. Editing immediately after or even during the shoot, when you're most motivated and involved with the story, means you will find problems earlier. It means you will have more input to the story and maybe even the types of shots you're going to get to edit with. And if you start earlier, you finish earlier, so you're going to hit your deadlines easier. And early editing means you're going to be editing more often. And as a professional editor myself, I know that the more I edit, the better I get.
There we go. No audio. I had muted things. There we go. Audio's back. Sorry about that. I'd usually mute it during the movie so it doesn't echo it comes out of the speaker on my MacBook Pro and goes back into the microphone. So just let me know if I forget to turn that back on. That's fine. So today was a good day. The Apple visit was really good. They're a very, very good team of people. They answered a lot of questions that we submitted in advance. Did they ask us any questions tonight? I don't even remember specifically. They might have asked us a few questions. But we had a lot of good sessions today, and we had the tips and tricks show. And we had Jeff Greenberg showed up again. He came in just for like 48 hours. Let's see. Yes, he did. Steve Martin, of course, was there. He was here at this session.
Did you guys have a good time here? Yeah. what's happening is I really appreciate all of you guys. I've talked with a lot of you. I've got to hear your stories in Germany, Norway, Russia. It's really amazing. We have a truly international Final Cut Pro community. And I just want to tell you how I appreciate all of you guys, how really awesome you've been. Just, again, it feels like family here. We have a passion for the same thing. It's just great. So I appreciate you guys. So good to be here.
There's Steve. Let me turn this down a little bit. Of course, he was here teaching. He taught a couple classes, one on multicam, one on kind of speed editing and stuff, and then one on, I think, 3D filming. I don't know if that ever took off or not. I don't know what the deal is with that. So I'm not getting, I have to check. Let me check. There we go. Audio's back. Yeah, I have to check for the chat's not working on my end. I can't put the comments in the video stream because the chat's not working. Isn't that amazing? It's not unusual. A lot of times that happens, but it's not working tonight. Let me see. I'll launch it again, but I think it's not working properly. Let's see. Can't find supported channels enabled. That's the problem when you have multi-layered. Oops, yep, it's not working. I have one piece of software going into another piece of software, and it's just not working tonight. So I can't add the comments in. So everybody's got questions about the event. Today was a good day with the team coming up here to talk to us. I'll read the comments as I watch them on YouTube and other places. What about Facebook? Let me just check over there as well. Facebook. Let me just turn on the... Facebook. I think it's on Facebook. Let me turn over to... I'm just checking to see if I can read. Yeah, there we go. It is on Facebook. Okay. Just want to double check. I'll read comments from Facebook as I see them. I'm just checking to see if I can read. Yeah, there we go. It is on Facebook. Okay. Just want to double check. And let me just see. There's a couple of comments there. This is weird. Can't quite read it. Huh. That's strange. Can't scroll up. There we go. Vincenzo says, hey Richard on Facebook, how you doing? And let's just check back over there. So Justine says with the audio that she has the same problem as Studio 99 times out of 99 reboot works 100% of the time. That's not the issue there. That is the issue is I muted the mic because I didn't want the mic feeding back the audio playback of the video, so I muted the mic and forgot to turn it back on. And I have audio meters over to my, actually it's over this way. It's over there. Audio meters that I can watch, but sometimes I'm not paying attention to them, and I missed it that I muted things. So today was a good day. Everything's over. Everybody's going home today. I'm going home. I got a Uber coming tomorrow morning. I scheduled one early in the morning. I'm catching an early flight out of here, and we'll see what happens next year. We'll see what happens as far as, they could always stop having these. I hope they don't. But who knows? I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money, and we had a great time. We had all the Final Cut Pro friends that I have were here this weekend. Well, it's weekend and then Thursday, and whether they do it next year or not, don't know. If they do, I'll make up my mind when they decide whether I'm going to come or not. I know when I was younger, I used to be a lot more favorable to air travel. I used to go to Europe. I've been to Europe half a dozen times and stuff, but nowadays I'm not that big a fan of traveling and the airport hassle and stuff that it is. It's not that big a deal, but especially from the East Coast, we had guys here last night from, well, two friends from Australia, one guy from Austria. I think there was a guy from Russia and a guy from Germany. So we had a good time. I mean, we had a good time. Just as last night hanging out, today hanging out, everybody talking to each other and discussing the state of Final Cut Pro. I got a cough here a second. Cough button worked that time. Now it's back on again. So we didn't get an update. I checked the App Store. They don't update on Saturdays typically, over the weekends. And of course, there's no update there. It's still at 10.4.7. And whether or not we see an update this year, who knows? Have to keep checking the App Store. See what's, it's hard to predict what Apple's going to be doing. Some people think they know. They don't. They don't know. They're just guessing like the rest of us. Doing a little bit of detective work, but they don't know. Everybody gets to guess. So we will see what happens the rest of the year here, and with the updates. But in any event, the team is aware of a lot of our concerns. I can say that they're aware of a lot of our concerns, and they're very dedicated to the pro community. Very dedicated. There's a lot of dedication. I mean, if you don't see that in the Mac Pro, I mean, people wanted a Mac Pro. This is gonna, where's the Pro machine? And they gave us a Pro machine. Then everybody said, "Oh, that's too Pro." Oh, that's too Pro. I didn't want that many slots, PCIe slots. I only wanted 4. I got 8. Well, that's too bad. You got 8. So they're dedicated to the pro community for sure, including the software. They monitor social media when it comes to Final Cut Pro. They read every one of your requests. Every one gets read if you submit it during the App Store. We've been told that many times. There's a comment. Crippa says, "Have a good flight home, Richard." Thank you, Crippa. I appreciate that. I'm sure it'll be fine. Rob says, "Hey, Richard, you still here? Not going to BJ's?" No, I'm not. I'm already in for the night. I got to get up early tomorrow morning for a flight. So Justine says, "I saw a tweet that someone was very upset that Apple did nothing. No product releases, no 16-inch laptops, no Mac Pro, no Final Cut Pro update, no Logic update, only a Motion update." Listen, the Mac Pro's coming out. It's going to be out. Could be out tomorrow. I mean, it could be out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It'll be here. It'll be here shortly. The 16-inch MacBook Pro, the same. Probably an iPad Pro. That's going to be forthcoming. As far as an update to Final Cut Pro, there's not an update around the Summit, which is I looked in the App Store. There's no update there. That is something that a lot of people were expecting. I was expecting an update, and because they've done it every year. They've done it all the 3 years. There was always an update around the Summit, so you presume there's going to be another one. Well, I guess the 10.4.7 one was the one, and they put it out a little bit early, a month early. But that doesn't mean, just because 10.4.7 came out a month ago, that doesn't mean there's no more updates. Of course there's going to be more updates. When they're going to happen, who knows? There could be another one that comes around when the Mac Pro is released. Don't know. But just keep paying attention to the App Store like we always do, and one day there'll be an update. And once again, if you're upset because there was no Mac Pro release, it could be released next week. The 16-inch MacBook Pro is coming as well, and maybe an iPad Pro. I mean, who knows? They're going to be here. They're not really the Mac, I wouldn't call the Mac Pro a Christmas item, so there's no reason to rush it out for the Christmas season. It's a really expensive piece. It's for professionals, that's for sure, and it's going to be priced for professionals. But it'll be out. It'll be out shortly. I mean, they said the fall. That gives them what is it? December 21st is the last day of fall, or the 20th. Not sure which. But it'll be here, and the 16-inch MacBook Pro, that's going to be here, I'm sure. There's too much evidence that that's available. That's in the software and the updates that's something that's real. So that should be here. It'll be an incremental screen size compared to what I'm on right now, which is a 15-inch. And then I've even heard rumors of an iPad Pro. So that'll be 3 devices that'll be coming out. Who knows? A week, this next week, the following week, they'll release them. They'll be out. Final Cut Pro, we're going to all wait together for the next update to Final Cut Pro. Obviously, 10.4.7 was a big update. A lot of work getting Metal to work. That's what people in the know are saying. There's a lot of foundational work for that. And I'm just glad it came in 10.4.7 and didn't come in 10.5, because that would have been a big thing to put in 10.5 as well. But they've cleared the deck now. That's already available, 10.4.7. And we'll see what happens. It's been 22 months since 10.4, which is an unusually long length of time between full number updates. So we'll see. What else do we have here? Okay, let me just check. I got to check back and forth because I don't have the Twitter thing's not working. So John Hooper says, any cool news from third-party vendors? I wish there were more AI-based plugins like Rotobot coming. So the third-party vendors that were here, I mean, LumaFusion is a third-party vendor. They demonstrated their FCPXML export out of LumaFusion, start on LumaFusion on the iPad or the iPhone, and export it right out into Final Cut Pro, and everything comes in like it's supposed to. The audio's in the right place, the video, a lot of the things translate just really, really well. That's coming, I think, in the 2.1 update. It'll be out by December. So that's a really, really, really great application. So a lot of these people I've had on the radio show, and LumaFusion has been on 3 times. And here's a couple of mics that were Mike Matsdorf and Mike Yanovich. A little clip from them.
Australia, where the movie was shot, is playing in Japan. It's going to play in the U.S. early next year, but I can't review. It hasn't been announced, but we're excited, and it's doing really well. So keep an eye out for it. We're really happy to do it. Oh, complete side note: the writer-director of the film, she's also the head of the film department for the University of Melbourne. So she didn't understand why, I was working in LA for most of the time. We were using Frame.io to send cuts back and forth and do notes. And eventually I went to Melbourne to work with her for a month. And when I was able to show her why we were doing it on Final Cut, she was blown away. She was so impressed by it. They're thinking about teaching it and adding it to the school, which I hope they do. We'll find out. Any questions? Great, party time. Thank you, everybody.
That was Mike Yanovich. He's a 27-year avid editor. He edits films in Hollywood, and he prefers Final Cut Pro 10. He likes to work with Final Cut Pro 10 after all this time. He's only been on Final Cut Pro 10 for about 3 years, something like that. He edited on Avid for 27 years. He knows Avid very, very well. He was demonstrating some of the ways you do things in Avid and some of the ways, why he prefers Final Cut Pro 10. He still edits in Avid. He goes where the work is. I mean, I would as well. But he prefers Final Cut Pro 10. He's one of a group of editors in Hollywood that likes Final Cut Pro 10. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just like all of us. Let me just check here and see what the comments are. So Matt O'Shea says, "Hey Richard, what day was your favorite day out of the summit?" What day was my favorite? Good question. I will say I would probably, what day was my favorite? You know, they each had really, really good parts to them. So these are the parts, I'm going to say the parts that I liked. I liked the exhibitors night last night. I thought that was fantastic. I liked the visit to the Apple Park Visitor Center. That was very, very nice. The sessions, of course, are all good, all 3 days. And today's highlight, I would say, would be the visit from the Final Cut Pro team. Now, they did it for the first time last year, and I can't talk about specifics. And the reason you can't talk about specifics is because they can be more open with the Final Cut Pro community that's in that room if nothing leaves that room. Okay? If things leave the room or they were recorded or people wrote about it in blogs, wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same. They wouldn't be as open as they are. And they, so that's the reason that they keep it closed. The other thing is people pay for this to come to this Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, and this is one of the benefits. You get this closed meeting with the Final Cut Pro team. I mean, there's 5 or 6 of them there. And, they listen. They listen to all the requests. They're well familiar with them. And they work on them in an organized fashion. And just like anything else, if you were working on if you had a company and you had suggestions, you wouldn't just implement every single one. You have to see how they fit in, whether they affect something else, etc. But the main thing is we've been told many, many times, they read every single one of your requests. Doesn't mean they're all going to get filled immediately, but they know about your request. So Alex Johnson says, "What's your overall feeling about the event? Will you want to do it again?" Alex, I'll tell you this. This happens to me every time. I'm tired right now. I've been here for 4 days. I'm very tired. I got to get up early tomorrow morning. My bags are about halfway packed. I got them over on the bed over there. So one of the tips when you're traveling, get twin beds. Get twin beds. When I got certified in Final Cut Pro training by Apple in Apple headquarters in New York City back in when it was version 5, was it? It was way before 10. I think it was version 5. So I went to New York and I stayed in a hotel, and my company that I worked for at the time in Baltimore paid for all that. And I got certified in Final Cut Pro training. Now, one of the things that when I went there, I don't know, there was 12.5 people, maybe 20. And at the end of the thing, you take an exam at the end of the days. And I passed the exam, and I think there's another guy that passed the exam. But a lot of people didn't pass the exam because they weren't prepared or were just maybe they didn't get enough out of the class. I had studied prior, so I was pretty prepared. But anyway, one of the things that I learned, my girlfriend told me, always get a double bed if you can. And what you do, and what I do, you stage your clothes and your suitcases and stuff on the other bed. So everything's like staged on there. You're not sleeping it, you're just staging it, and then I sleep in the other bed. So that's what I try to do. I try to get double bed. So what the question again was, what's your overall feeling about the event? Will you want to do it again? So these events, to me, have three parts to them. Number one is the sessions. The sessions are, all day, every day, lots of sessions. Then you have social events. Well, it actually just, with the sessions, you have social events. We had a social event on Thursday night, and we had a social event on, last night was the big one. It was really big. All the vendors were there. I interviewed a bunch of them. I interviewed Sarah Monick, the microphone people. I interviewed a little bit of LumaFusion there. I interviewed Roger Bolton from Coremelt. He was there. I interviewed a lot of the people. I interviewed Jasper Seegers, the one that's working with Hedge right now with his versioning product for Final Cut Pro 10. interviewed a lot of people, and that's a great event. That's probably my favorite social event. So there's two parts. I mean, like there's three main parts: the social events and the sessions from Future Media Concepts, and then you have the just meeting with friends, just talking with your friends in the hall. That's a big component. Both of those things were fantastic this time, the way they always are. The third part, of course, is the Apple stuff. So you have Apple going to Infinite Loop to listen to the presentation from the Pro Apps team, and then typically you go into a demo room and get the demos and stuff, and then you have the next day, typically on Saturday, you get a visit from the Pro Apps team. It's not one team. You call it the Pro Apps team. It's a Final Cut Pro / product / Pro Apps team. It's an amalgam of different teams put into one. It's just called the Pro Apps Final Cut Pro team. And then you have them visit here, which today was a highlight of the day. It was a good visit. They were very frank about some things. They answered questions. They listened to suggestions that we had. It's a closed meeting. Can't discuss you can't even write about it, not blogging or anything. That was a very productive meeting today, and it was very productive last year as well. So the overall feeling, I would say this was a good summit, but I think I liked last year better. Let's just leave it at that. I think I liked last year better for a number of reasons, but nothing. Sometimes you really can't put your finger on things, can you? You just kind of say, well, I like last year better. So last year's was perhaps a bit better. And will you do it again? We'll see. If they're going to do it again, I will be in contact with the people. We won't really know typically until June, July. They might make an announcement in June, July. This year there was a schedule change after they announced the date, so hopefully that won't happen again. But anyway, there'll be an announcement in June and July. At that point, I will decide, because the problem is, if I decided right now, I'm tired. I would probably say no. It's too much work. But that's because I'm tired and I want to get on the plane tomorrow. I want to get back home. I mean, everybody does this when they travel, perhaps. So, but after I had 6 months of, recharging the old batteries, yeah, I love seeing my friends. That's one of the best parts, of course. Talking to everybody, having a good time, the camaraderie. What else do we have here? Alex says, what would make it better? What would make it better? Well, I'm not sure how to answer that. I like the sessions, the last three, 2016, 2017, 2018, that had a new version of Final Cut Pro within a day. I like that. That didn't happen this time. At this point, it didn't happen. So I think that's probably one of the main things. It's the same with, the same thing happened in NAB last year. The two NABs before this one in 2019, we had Final Cut Pro team do a private session in the hall, not on the main floor, just off the main floor. One of the Future Media Concepts classrooms that they let them use. They had the Final Cut Pro team, Pro Apps team. They did a session there. Last NAB, they didn't do a session. Nothing. There was no official Apple presentation at NAB. Now, I know they say, well, we're there, we're seeing vendors. No, it's not the same. Going to see a vendor is very, very good. It's an excellent thing to do. Not talking to the public is not a good thing to do. You should always be talking to your public. Now, I understand if you don't have, they put an update out like a couple weeks before. There's a very similar thing that happened this time at the summit. So in NAB, they put out an update 2 or 3 weeks before NAB. And I wrote an article that said, I bet you if they put an update out before NEB, they're not going to do anything in NEB. That's exactly what happened. This time they put an update out a month before the summit. So there was nothing specific for them to talk about other than whatever the latest update was, and of course unannounced products, not unannounced products, but products that aren't available to the public yet. Of course, the Mac Pro, they didn't say anything about anything about a MacBook Pro or whatever. There's been no announcement about that this whole weekend. There's Mac Pro, I thought that might come out. I thought it might come out around Summit, but it didn't. So it'll be out. The Mac Pro will be out. They still say this fall, so they still have about 6 weeks left. If they take this fall out of the Mac Pro page, then it's going to be later. But they haven't done that. Originally, it even said coming in September, but it might have been a placeholder. If you clicked on the email link when it first came out, it said coming this September to be notified, but they stopped that. They took that out a long time ago, back in September. Now it just says this fall. Well, it's still in the fall. It'll be out. Rob Fisher says, I hope Apple will come again and talk with us in the future. As long as there's no leaks, as long as nobody blabs or writes in a blog post about what was discussed. And listen, it's not top secret. I mean, you guys can imagine some of the things that were discussed, I'm sure, but of course I can't confirm anything. But it's not like it's revealing state secrets of Apple. They don't. Apple's much more secretive than that. They're not going to do that. Scott Favorite says, thanks for all of your efforts. Thank you, Scott. Thanks you. I appreciate that. Alex says, Alex Johnson says, do you feel like you paid $1,000 for a sales pitch for a Mac Pro? Well, let me just do something here. Maybe I can put these comments up a different way since they're not working. Let me see here. I think I can. Let me just, let me do this. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Okay. I thought I could copy and paste them into a title, but that didn't work. So do I feel like I paid $1,000 for a sales pitch for a Mac Pro? Well, first off, I don't pay $1,000. I'm sponsored, so my expenses are paid to come out here. So I don't pay the $1,000, but I understand what you're talking about. Other people, no. The $1,000 that people, well, it wasn't $1,000, it was like $800 some dollars. That has nothing to do with getting a sales pitch about an app, but a Mac Pro. I mean, Apple is of course selling stuff, but that's not the reason you're paying. You're not paying Apple. Apple doesn't get that money. So the money that goes for the they catered to a breakfast this morning, and they catered to lunch the other day. And when you buy hotel food, it's expensive as can be. So that's one of the things. They pay the people that are coming to teach and everything, and they pay for the rooms, and they pay for they flew in a company to do PA, do audio recordings. So it's very expensive. Very expensive. That's where the money goes. It doesn't go for Apple, the Apple stuff. That's not where it goes for. But I understand what you're saying, but no, I don't feel that at all. Alex says, I was at last year's summit and I found the time with the Pro Apps team to be not great, very unproductive. I thought they were unwilling to actually listen and engage, but I'm interested in hearing. I didn't feel that at all. They certainly listened this time. They listened to comments, and they didn't. I know what you're talking about, but that's you can't be mind reading these people. But I understand that's your opinion about it. I didn't get that feeling from them last time. This time even less so. Interested in hearing my take. So that's my take. No, that's my besides, listen, the main thing for me is meeting friends. You know, Brad Olson and I worked on the documentary Off the Tracks for a year, and we're really good friends. We met here at the summit. We did the first filming here at the summit, and I saw Brad on the way up to my room tonight. We're really good friends. There's a lot of friends. Chris Fenwick and I are friends. Steve Martin and I are friends. Philip Hodges, Gregory Clark, Serena Catania. I can go on and on. Ian Anderson, Lee Herbert, all these guys. We're all friends. And I met some other people that that were listeners to Final Cut Pro Radio. That Alexander, Mr. Alexander, who won the Nick Alexander, who won he won a free pass this time on Final Cut Pro Radio, and Torgrim from Norway. I always pronounce his name wrong. He always tells me how to pronounce it correctly, but he has an accent and I don't, so he pronounced it. I met him in person. That was great. Other people as well came up to me and said, hey, how do you do the streaming thing? What software do you use? What microphones do you use? They were interested. I did a 2-camera setup when I was streaming live. One was recording 4K, and one was streaming 1080p to. It goes from one piece of software to another piece of software to another piece of software, different servers and stuff. So I had 2 different cameras, and that was pretty cool. And I had a bunch of different microphone setups. And I'll put some of that stuff out over the next couple of weeks. I've already done a few. So, Alex, I don't get the same vibe that you got from the team last year, but I understand. I understand that you might have gotten that. But this year I think it was even better and more attentive. So Mick Matoshay says, could you ever see Final Cut Pro Motion going to subscription model? And also, could you see a form of Final Cut Pro coming to the iPad? As far as the iPad goes, Matt, I'm really telling you, buy LumaFusions, $30. If you want, it's very similar to Final Cut Pro. It has a magnetic timeline, but it has attached clips, but it also has the ability to lock the timeline so it doesn't, different lanes. And it's got a lot of great features. Watch a few tutorials. Go to the YouTube channel. Luma-touch.com is where it is. And $30, it's an excellent. I don't know how they do all the editing they do on that thing. And then now you can export to Final Cut Pro. Oh, not yet. I think it's coming out by December. 2.1, you can export. They demoed that to Final Cut Pro. So you can start on the iPad. You certainly can finish on the iPad. They have titles. They have color correction. They have an audio mixer. It's an incredible piece of software. If you want to do a touch interface, I highly recommend that for $30. It's like $30 is, you spend that on one plugin. This is so much more than that. So if you want Final Cut Pro on the iPad, I don't think. Here's what I think. Listen, I guarantee you. No, I can't guarantee you. I'm pretty damn sure that Apple has a touchscreen MacBook Pro that they have on it somewhere, and they're working on the touchscreen MacBook Pro. So maybe when they have a touchbook MacBook Pro comes out, a touchscreen, not a touchbook, a touchscreen MacBook Pro. They already got the touch bar right at the bottom. Go up a little higher, and you'll have a touchscreen. Of course, they have those. They're working with those. They have to be. They'd be too far behind behind everything if they aren't working with it. So they're probably working with the touchscreen MacBook Pro. If they come out with a touchscreen MacBook Pro, at that point, Final Cut Pro will be available for the touchscreen, and at that point, maybe it'll come to iOS. Who knows? But I don't. LumaFusion is what I say about that, as far as I'm concerned. And then he also says the subscription model. I don't think so. I think if they did something like that, it might be. They might offer both. Going subscription only. I don't think in the near future that's going to happen. 5 years down the road, maybe, but I don't see any benefit to them at this point. I mean, subscription model for music service is one thing, $5 a month. No, I don't think so, but who knows for sure. So Gary, is it Freiberg, says, what's the takeaway for those of us here in the hinterland? I'm using Final Cut Pro since day one and will wait patiently for the next release. That's exactly what I'll be doing. I'm waiting with everybody. I'm waiting for the next release. You know, we got a little less than 2 months left in 2019. And let's see if something comes out in 2019. Let's see. So Rob Fisher then says, do you think Apple's next update of Final Cut Pro will be 10.5 or 10.4.8? I don't know for a fact. I think 10.4.7 was an important one for them to get out. 10.4.8, I think the next one kind of has to be a feature update. A bug fix. I'm not counting a bug fix. If there's bugs and they quash the bugs, that would be 10.4.8. I don't know. Did you guys have any bugs that you're reporting in Final Cut Pro 10? I mean, something that's repeatable, not something that one person has or whatever. Let me just check Facebook comments right now. So I got greetings from Chile, a Final Cut Pro user since 2004. That's Aldo. Greetings, Aldo. And Andrea says greetings from Switzerland, Italian part of Switzerland, from Andrea. And Nick Alexander says, thank Richard for the past and the opportunity to go to the summit this year. Truly an amazing experience. Well worth it. Hope to return next year. So there you go. First time attendee. I know I talked to Nick all weekend long. I got him on a few of the videos that I'll be sharing later. And he had a good time, you know. I mean, basically it was a really good time. I mean, that's absolutely the way I feel as well. I'm tired today, so I'm going to head to bed here shortly. And once I get back and get back in the swing of things, we'll come back on and do some more of these Final Cut Pro live events. So for tonight, I think that's plenty. Let me see, there's another comment here. So as far as 10.5 or 10.4, I don't know. I mean, if they fix a bug in 2019 or maybe a feature or two, they might be 10.4.8. Otherwise, 10.5 is the longer they take, obviously, the bigger it is, the more work they're putting into it. Some people think, you know, well, I don't know. I would say maybe 10.5 in the first quarter of 2020, and if they do any kind of a bug fix, it would be 10.4.8 coming out this year. Or they could surprise us and put out something this year that has some features in the bug fix too. So Tangier Clark says, are workflow extensions being promoted or talked about more? I don't think they're talked about more, but they certainly talked about it. I mean, they certainly are talked about. Roger Bolton has a new plugin for his transcription service. He was telling me about the process a little bit. Is this something Apple wants more developers to leverage? Absolutely. You know, something that if you want in Final Cut Pro and the Pro Apps team's not going to get to it, and there's a third-party extension for it, absolutely. They realize they're not going to put every single thing that, you know, into Final Cut Pro. They're going to try to keep it organized and efficient. So extensions, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that that's why they developed it last year, 10.4.4 they came out. All right, everyone, I'm going to be heading out in the morning. It's 8 o'clock here. It's like 11 o'clock East Coast time. And I had a good time. Definitely give it a thumbs up. Last year, I think I liked it a little better, but that's okay. That's all right. What do you all think? I know people were waiting for an update. I was too. So far, we haven't gotten that. It could happen, though. So Rob Fisher says, so version 10.4.7 was released October the 10th, 10.4.5 January the 18th, 10.4.4 November the 16th. 10.4.4 was last year at the Summit. That's when 10.4.4 was released. That's why I was expecting another one this year. I mean, so he says there could be an update in spring of 2020 if they are on a kind of a schedule, but they will surprise us. The schedule has been disrupted because of, from what I can see, because of metal. Writing metal into Final Cut is a major undertaking. It changed a lot of different things. It's a whole different language that they're using, programming language. So that was the biggest. That's taken a lot of their resources, obviously. I mean, that's what everybody's been saying for quite a while. So that's the biggest thing. So one thing that I've learned, you try to get patterns out of Final Cut Pro 10, but they just don't. Sometimes they're just not there, or the patterns change. I mean, like I said, we did 2 years in NAB, and then the third year, no, they're not at NAB. We got updates for Final Cut Pro for 3 years at the Summit, and then I don't see an update in the App Store, this weekend. So we didn't get one this weekend. So that's 3 years, yes, 1 year, no. NAB was 2 years, yes, 1 year, no. So I don't know. Patterns don't work that well. They're not that predictive. But I think we'll definitely see an update. I don't know, maybe by the spring of 2020, but that would be, I think, 10.5. If we see another update between now and then, that would be maintenance, optimization, bug fix, could be features. I mean, 10.4.8 could be a bug fix when it comes out, and we still have, like I said, almost 2 months left in December in 2019, so that'll be fine. I mean, we could get something. At this point, we have to wait. They pre-announced an update to Final Cut Pro at WWDC. They said it would be out in the fall. That was the metal update. That was the Catalina update, so we'll have to see how that works. Is there any discussion of DaVinci nipping at the heels of Final Cut Pro or people jumping ship? Let me tell you something interesting about DaVinci. This is something I can talk about. Blackmagic Design was here. They were at the exhibitors night. They had their own booth. They had DaVinci Resolve running at a Final Cut Pro event. Now, part of that, I would surmise is, why would DaVinci Resolve be at a Final Cut Pro event? Ask yourself that. Well, one of the things I would guess is because the Mac Pro coming out, DaVinci runs on the Mac Pro, but we didn't have a Mac Pro at the exhibitors night. So why were they there? I asked them specifically because I know the question a lot of you want it answered. What about B-Raw in Final Cut Pro 10? It's on the live stream from last night, from Friday night, the exhibitors night. She said, I just don't know. She didn't say I can't talk about it. She said, I just don't know. So maybe it's a person that genuinely didn't know. But listen, some people think, I don't know what some people think, but here's what I think. Avid and Apple worked together. Apple wrote the drivers for the Apple Legacy Media stuff. Apple did the writing of the drivers. In exchange, Avid put ProRes RAW in with Media Composer. They worked together, they exchanged those. Today, like I said, Blackmagic was here at an Apple event. They were here at a Final Cut Pro event in the exhibitors hall, demoing stuff. We know Blackmagic and Apple worked on the eGPU together. Okay? I'm sure Apple wouldn't mind selling some Mac Pros when they come out to DaVinci Resolve users, the studios. So I don't see why they wouldn't cooperate and get Blackmagic Raw support in Final Cut Pro 10, and also for now the exchange for that would be for the Blackmagic cameras to also record ProRes RAW. Okay, the Blackmagic cameras already have a license for ProRes. They already record ProRes. It's just a matter of adding the RAW to the existing license. Doesn't seem that difficult. Here's the other thing about that. So they could cooperate. The other thing is that both of their customers want that. Apple customers want BRAW support in Final Cut Pro, and I think that some of the ProRes RAW people would like to see the ability to record that in Blackmagic cameras. So I don't see why that wouldn't be happening. That could happen. Maybe it won't take a full version of Final Cut Pro. Maybe it'll just be some kind of the Pro Media update or something. Let's see, a few more questions, and I'm going to get out of here. It says, Rob Fisher says, I heard a very good summary. Everything is new in Final Cut 4.1047, but the thing is Apple didn't give us anything to click on. It's a foundation for the future updates mainly. I'm not sure exactly what that's about. I don't care about clicking on anything. I mean, I'm not sure. You're talking about just this feature, clickable feature or something. Maybe. But anyway, no. 10.4.7 was a lot of work. Everybody knows that. Switching it over to Metal was a big deal. But let's be a little patient. Wait for the next version of Final Cut. I expect the Mac Pro to be out within just a week, 2 weeks. They're not going to put it out Thanksgiving week, are they? I don't think so. So they either probably put it out before Thanksgiving, hopefully. I'll be getting one in 2020, I'm pretty sure, after I see the performance and the reviews and everything looks good. You know, I'm definitely be getting one. So anyway, I'm going to head out of here, everybody. I hope you enjoyed these videos, live videos. This is number 10 that I worked on while I was here. I tried to give you a window into what's going on with Final Cut Pro news and the Summit news. But I'm gonna take. Let me see. Did I show you this one? I think I did. Show you one more here. That's iJustine, Chris Fenwick, Jeff Greenberg, Mark Spencer. Look at that. He's there too. Roger Bolton, Patrick Southern. So that's a little treat. That's the kind of stuff we saw all weekend long here. Let me see if there's any more questions, and I'm going to get out of here. Rob Fisher says, I mean clickable features. Okay, that's interesting. There wasn't that kind of a feature update. 10.4.7 was, and it was definitely a foundational update, but it's major. But they got it out of the way before 10.5. That's what I was interested in. They got all this plumbing out of the way. They swept the plate clear, so 10.5 can build on top of that. I kind of thought that something that big would be 10.5. would be part of 10.5, but it wasn't. They put it out with 10.4.7, which means 10.5 is going to be built on top of that, and 10.5 is looking to be a pretty big feature, pretty big update, because it's already, number one, 10.4.7 is out with the metal, the plumbing's already done, and number two is it's 22 months, it's not out. That means it's going to be 23 months, 24 months, 25 months, 26 months. Long time between 10.4 and 10.5. Very long time. So hopefully it's worth the wait. Everybody, thanks for tuning in these videos. They're all up on YouTube and Facebook to watch. My name's Richard Taylor, Final Cut Pro Radio TV. I am going to go to bed, get up early in the morning, head back to the East Coast. I heard it's cold there. I heard it was 24 degrees last night, so getting ready, got the firewood ready back there. The wood-burning stove will be firing up shortly. I will talk to you all when I get back to the East Coast. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you later.